that named Hillary Clinton that says, let's stop running from the subject of race. Let's talk about why we behave the way we behave. This is something that we need to talk about to heal, to make a change. Let's talk about the reality of a generation, 5 or 6 generations who have been reared up in the environment that I described that Dr. King talked about, that come out of a certain kind of nest, generation after generation. And you come from an atmosphere that you've been feeding on racism for the last 600, 700, 800 years. Let's talk about maybe possibly you suffer from mental health issues because of that plight. Because there's got to be something wrong with the human beings who wants to enslave a people, who don't want people to be just, who don't want people to be equal, that you got to put your foot down in their chest and hold them down and have an illusion that you are more than. Let's talk about that issue. Let's talk about the issue that there's maybe a lot of people walking around that are mentally ill because of their many years of transformation of the idea that they're superior. And it takes a sick individual to enslave a human being. We don't want to treat our animals that way. Why treat a human being that way? So we never talked about this course of people being rehabilitated. Let's talk about the depth of their hate and their inheritance of their hate, that they've never been treated. So now, to begin a healing process on anything, you got to talk about the symptom.
That's right.
You got to talk about the problem. But if we never talked about it, we're not dealing with it. And it ain't just going to go away from generation to generation. People, all they're going to do is put on false faces, fake smiles. But they are what they are if the inside haven't changed. And this is a subject matter, this is a thing that Dr. King used to do, is talk about these issues and try to raise the consciousness of people. Now, today throughout this country, as we speak, throughout the last 4 days, people have been in excruciating pain. Part of the healing process is venting and talking about these things. You can get in on the pulpit, you can go here, you can go there. But if you're not allowing God to reveal the solutions like he did in great leaders like Dr. King,
That's right.
Dr. King wasn't a yelling, screaming minister. He was similar to what I'm displaying to you now. He had a conscious call to the people.
He was calm.
He read the Bible like I did last night. I related verses. I looked at the last 4 days, linking the Bible to certain things. That's why I gave you a certain quote. Or what happened down in Georgia is they treated a stranger like he was a member and was there to help him. The pastor welcomed him. And then in relation at the end, they demonstrate humanity by showing forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. And we need healing for ourselves to recognize our plight. And we're talking about those who may have been the perpetrators. Let's talk about the ones who are the victims, like ourselves. Often we've been indoctrinated when the enemy have victimized us, and then we want to talk about the issue, and we fear talking about the issue because they reverse the psychology, just like this young man did, that we taking something from them. You reaped all the benefit. Where's the reparation for all those people who worked for 400 years, the damages that it was sustained by your ancestors? Did anybody,
That's right.
you know, in Judaism, Jewish religion, it says you can't repent
Right.
unless you make reparation.
Right.
Now, they had it in the Emancipation Proclamation, reparation. They supposed to got the 40 acres a mule. But that never was delivered. That was designed where people could walk off the plantation and go and start their own cotton fields or cornfields or whatever form they were. They were offered that in the Emancipation Proclamation signed by Abraham Lincoln. but they never received it. So many of them stayed there. They had nowhere to go. They had children. So they stayed on the plantation and became sharecroppers.
Yeah.
They stayed there. They had no way to go. But they got used for 400 years for nothing. Labor, used. Everywhere else they had reparation. We had the Japanese was locked up in World War II. Unfairly.
Yeah.
They got reparation for it. They were paid for the being separated from their families, millions and millions of dollars. In fact, it was $1 trillion deal back then.
That's true.
Okay, based on the setback that they were subjected to. So we're just talking about healing. We're talking about these are things part of our healing process. Most of the churches today are dealing with this thing because you got to talk about it.
That's right.
You can't keep beating it around the bush. In order to go forward, you got to confront it. In order to make change, you got to confront it. You got to talk about the truth. Not feeling offended. I have colleagues, I have white friends, I have, blah, 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 and they're going to disagree with me. Well, you know what? If they can't handle the truth, they ain't your friend. You got to tell them like it is. They're not your friend. So you don't shove it on the rug and reverse, discrimination. It's reverse discrimination if I'm talking about that. Well, you sound prejudiced because you're telling the truth. No, take a look at the reality of it. Challenges are there. Like Hillary Clinton said, we have our challenges ahead. Yeah. And despite whatever you say, that situation down there is just a symptom that's going on every day in America. It's going on in the job place. It's going on when this kid say he had friends. But it didn't, despite he had African American affiliates, he wasn't a friend in his heart to African Americans. He may have affiliated with them or whatever, but when he, at the end, his plight was to go down there and kill African Americans. So whoever was affiliated with him was all camouflage because of the deep sickness. As I pointed out, that maybe they need to do some research in terms of these issues, because I think if you go and you inherited a behavior for 400 years of hate, you become sick, and unless you get some treatment to help you with your condition. Then we're going to still deal with, as Dr. King talked about, not looking at the murderer, look at the nest that he came. So you got to go in and treat that nest, because that nest is infested.